The year Brandon Pierce went bankrupt. He secretly bought 2 extra plane tickets. He took his business partner's wife and daughter out of the country with him. Before turning off his phone, he made one last call to me. Mia's husband died because of me. I can't just abandon them. Give me 10 years. Wait for me to come back and marry you. 5 years later, Brandon returned, having rebuilt his empire covered in glory. Meanwhile, to save a $2 bus fare, I walked for an hour with our daughter on my back. I only saw him helping the woman everyone called his wife into a car. My daughter, face flushed from the sun, asked me with hope in her eyes, "Mommy, aren't we going to say hi to Daddy?" I turned around and started walking back. Mommy made a mistake. That man isn't your daddy. I walked back the way we came, my body stiff, my daughter heavy on my back. My mind was filled with the image of Brandon protecting Mia, and her daughter looking so happy. It wasn't until I heard a small gulp from my back that I realized, after walking for over an hour, she must be thirsty. I found a nearby convenience store, bought a bottle of water, sat down to rest on the curb outside an ice cream shop. A sleek, understated black luxury car pulled up. Through the lowered window, a little girl's whining voice drifted out. "Daddy, I want ice cream. Will you come buy it with me, please?" The man in the car was working, but hearing her, he chuckled indulgently. He tossed his laptop aside without hesitation and got out of the car with his wife and daughter. I looked up and locked eyes with Brandon. He stopped. His body froze. And he didn't take another step. Our reunion after 5 years wasn't the joyful occasion we had once imagined. Right now he had a beloved wife and daughter by his side. Naturally, he didn't want to see me. Mia, standing next to him, noticed. She let go of his arm. She walked up to me. "Hannah, is that really you? It's been years. Why do you look so old?" Mia looked me over and secretly sighed in relief. Then her eyes filled with undisguised smugness. I looked down as her pale, soft hands reached out. They grasped my rough, yellowed, sandpaper-like hands. For 5 years she had been pampered by Brandon, looking 10 years younger than her age. Clearly she hadn't suffered a day in her life. Unlike me. To pay off the debts Brandon left behind, I worked day and night. My body and soul had aged prematurely. I pulled my hand back up, the half-empty water bottle my daughter had been drinking from, and ignored her. Brandon stared at me for a long time. Seeing I was about to leave, he stepped forward and grabbed my wrist. His eyes were dark. He was so close. I could hear his teeth grinding. "Hannah, where are you taking my daughter?" "Even if you leave, my daughter stays." But before I could speak, the spoiled little girl beside him pushed me angrily. "Daddy only has one daughter. Get lost, you annoying people." Seeing me being bullied, Lily lunged forward. That little girl had been too protected by Brandon. Unlike Lily, who had been bullied by other kids since she was small, she didn't know how to fight. In a few minutes, her face was scratched up. Mia cried and hugged her daughter, looking up at Brandon with teary eyes. Before I could react, the slap landed on my Lily's face. Lily held back her tears. She didn't cry. Instead, she looked up and forced a smile at me. "Mommy, don't cry. It doesn't hurt." Tears streamed down my face. My heart shattered into a million pieces. The more she smiled, the more I hated myself. Hated my incompetence. Hated that my Lily had a father like Brandon. Brandon's hand froze in midair. His lips moved, looking a bit lost. "I didn't mean to." Mia's daughter sobbing seemed to encourage him. "You've spoiled Lily. Run." Hitting her sister like that. Who knows what trouble she'll cause in the future. But how could Brandon know? If my Lily wasn't tough, she would get beaten up. She didn't have a father around, and I was always working. She felt sorry for me when she got bullied. She never told me. She just endured it. I petched Lily's swollen face, head bowed in silence. The next second, I raised my hand and slapped Brandon hard. 10 times in a row. Caught off guard, he stumbled. He glared at me coldly, but he let me keep hitting him. "Brandon, Lily is my daughter. You haven't raised her for a single second in all these years. What right do you have to hit her? They are your wife and daughter. Go, discipline them. Don't mistake us for your family." Mia cried in distress, biting her lip as if she were the victim. "Hannah, I know you resent Brandon for not taking you with us back then, but he was already struggling to support us. How could he have the energy to care for you, too? You were with him for so long. Don't you have any empathy for him?" Hiding back tears, she took out a tissue and gently wiped the blood from the corner of Brandon's mouth. But Brandon, face dark, swatted her hand away. He picked up Lily and got into the car. I chased after him, but he shoved me into the car, too. Before the car started, Mia stood outside, looking fragile, and cried out. Passers-by stopped to watch Brandon. "Are you abandoning us?" "Daddy, I'm your joy. Don't leave Joy and Mommy." After getting in, Mia sat next to me with her daughter. The little girl in her arms glared at Lily, whispering complaints. Mommy. She stepped on my dress and got it dirty. It was a birthday gift from Daddy. Mia scolded her gently, and she whined, calling for her daddy in the front seat. Brandon, sitting in the passenger seat, frowned but spoke gently. When we get home, Daddy will buy you 100 pretty dresses just like that one, okay? The little girl cheered up instantly. Mia smiled charmingly at the man. Brandon, don't spoil her too much. This little thing is becoming lawless. Turned and saw the envy in Lily's eyes. I whispered, do you like dresses? Mommy will buy you one too. Lily put her small hand in mine. It was warm. She shook her head sensibly. Mommy, Lily doesn't like them. Grandma Wang's hand-me-downs are just fine. Brandon turned his dark face toward us, anger evident in his voice. Hannah, you let our daughter wear someone else's old clothes? What kind of mother are you? His words were full of blame. I looked up at Brandon's self-righteous accusation. I just wanted to laugh. Years ago, he sold our wedding house and secretly took his partner's wife and daughter away. Just before boarding, he called me. For less than 30 seconds. He said, Mia's husband died because of me. I can't abandon them. I swore to take care of them for life. No matter where we go. Hannah, you have to support me. He didn't give me a chance to speak. In the last second, he casually made a promise. Give me 10 years. Wait for me to come back and marry you. After that day, he left no contact information. He just left his 7 months pregnant fiancée behind. Let the debt collectors find me heavily pregnant. I faced them alone when they came knocking at midnight, smashing things and threatening me. For 5 years, just staying alive with my daughter was hard enough. See me zone out. Brandon's face grew colder. Lily protected me even though she was trembling. She glared at him with wide eyes. Don't yell at my mommy. You're a bad man. Don't bully mommy. Brandon looked at Lily's increasingly swollen face, guilt flashing in his eyes. His voice softened. Lily, I'm Daddy. Daddy is back. Lily pouted and pointed at Mia and her daughter. You're not my daddy. My daddy only has me and mommy. You already have them. Mommy said Daddy loves me very much. But you hit me. You're not my daddy. I pulled my tear-streaked daughter into my arms and heard her sobbing. Silly Lily. For 5 years. She slept with Brandon's photo under her pillow. Could she not recognize him? It was just that the father she had longed for already had another beloved daughter by his side. She was too disappointed, too heartbroken. The man froze for a moment, his eyes red. He wanted to explain, but opened his mouth and found nothing to say. Seeing Brandon's painted expression, I only felt nausea. I couldn't help but dry heave. He looked over, and I said calmly, From now on, Lily is my daughter alone. She has nothing to do with you. Please stop the car and let us out. Brandon didn't speak, nor did he stop the car. The car drove straight into a beautiful, expensive-looking villa complex. Mia took her daughter and got out first. The girl skipped around the yard. Clearly she was familiar with this place. Mommy, my pool. My swing. They're just like the pictures you showed me. Mia smiled, glancing at me before speaking. Your daddy had this designed specially for you. I didn't do anything. Thank your daddy, Brandon. Look how happy our daughter is. Staying up late to prepare this surprise was worth it. Brandon stood awkwardly, his gaze falling on me and Lily. He felt a tearing pain in his chest. He told me I had to take the girl inside first, then walked over to the car. I glanced at him coldly. Mr. Pierce, I've seen your happy family life. I won't bother you again. Can you let us go back? Brandon seemed hurt. He asked me in disbelief. Go back. Brandon repeated, his voice raspy. He looked at the bruised cheek of the little girl hiding behind my legs, his daughter, and then at the sprawling mansion behind him. Go back to what, Hannah? That slum I found you in? I have money now. I have power. I can give you everything. You can give us nothing we want, I said, my voice devoid of the warmth he remembered. You gave your word to another woman. You gave your fatherhood to another child. We are just ghosts you forgot to bury. Don't be dramatic, Mia chimed in, walking back toward the car, her heels clicking on the paved driveway. She placed a possessive hand on Brandon's shoulder. Brandon, maybe she's right. She's used to her lifestyle. She might be uncomfortable here. The servants haven't prepared the guest wing. Guest wing. The words were a precise, surgical cut. Brandon shook her hand off. No, they stay. Hannah, get in the house. I won't have my daughter living on the streets. She wasn't on the streets, I snapped. She was in a home I paid for, by scrubbing floors, paying off your creditors. Brandon froze. My creditors? I declared bankruptcy. The debts were written off. I laughed, a dry, humorless sound. The corporate debts, yes. The personal guarantees? The loan sharks you borrowed from to fund that last desperate shipment? They didn't care about bankruptcy court. They cared about the address on your ID. My address. Brandon's face went gray. He looked at Mia. You said you handled the final notices before we left. You said it was clean. Mia's eyes darted away, her composure cracking for a fraction of a second. I thought I did. Brandon, it was 5 years ago. Why are we discussing finances on the driveway? Joy is hungry. Brandon didn't move. He stared at my hands, the rough, callous skin, the broken nails. Then he looked at Mia's manicured, lotion-soft fingers. Get inside, he commanded, but his tone had shifted. It wasn't arrogant anymore. It was haunted. I didn't want to go in, but Lily tugged my shirt. Mommy, I need to pee, she whispered, terrified. I gritted my teeth.
Fine.
1 hour. Then we leave. The interior of the villa was like a palace. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and a massive portrait of Brandon, Mia, and Joy hanging in the hallway. It looked like a family photo. Lily stared at it, shrinking into herself. Dinner was a disaster. A long table was set with elaborate dishes. Joy sat at the head, next to Brandon, banging her spoon. I want shrimp. Peel it for me, Daddy. Brandon mechanically began peeling a shrimp, but his eyes were fixed on Lily. Lily sat on the edge of her chair, not touching her food. She stared at the roast chicken, as if it were a mirage. Eat, Lily, I whispered. She looked at me, trembling. Can I save it? Save it? Brandon asked, pausing. Lily pulled a crumpled, dirty napkin from her pocket. For tomorrow. If Mommy doesn't get paid, we won't have dinner tomorrow. I'm not that hungry now. I can eat half. The fork dropped from Brandon's hand, clattering loudly against the china.
Mia laughed nervously.
Oh, stop it. Children have such wild imaginations. She's clearly playing a game. It's not a game, I said quietly, slicing a piece of meat and putting it on Lily's plate. Last winter, we lived on expired bread for 3 weeks because the loan sharks took my paycheck. Lily learned to ration. She's 5, Brandon, and she knows how to ration calories. The silence in the room was suffocating. Joy broke it. Ew, she's dirty. Mommy, she smells like the bus. Joy, hush, Mia said, but she didn't sound like she meant it. Brandon stood up abruptly. Enough. He looked at me, his eyes burning. Follow me to the study.
Now.
In the study, surrounded by mahogany bookshelves, Brandon paced like a caged animal. Tell me everything, he demanded. The debts. The last 5 years.
Why?
I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. So you can write a check and feel better? You can't buy back the years, Brandon. You can't buy back the night Lily was born and I had to walk to the hospital alone because I couldn't afford an ambulance. I sent money, Brandon roared, slamming his hand on the desk. 3 months after I left, I sent $50,000. I sent it to your account. I told Mia to wire it. I stared at him. I never received a cent. My account was frozen by the bank because of your defaulted joint loans. Brandon stopped breathing. He walked over to the safe behind his desk, punching in a code. He pulled out a ledger and a stack of bank transfer receipts. He flipped through them frantically. Here, he pointed. Transfer to solely to Mia intended for Hannah Waite. He stared at the document. The money had been withdrawn in cash by Mia. She told me your account was closed, Brandon whispered, the realization dawning on him like a slow horror. She said she gave it to your mother. She said you were living comfortably with your parents. My parents died 2 years before we met, Brandon. You knew that. The color drained from his face completely. He sank into his chair, covering his face with his hands. I didn't know. I swear to God, Hannah, I didn't know. Ignorance is a luxury, I said cold. One I couldn't afford. You chose to leave. You chose to trust her. You chose to not call. I called, he looked up, eyes red. I called 100 times the first year. The number was disconnected. I had to change my number because the debt collectors were threatening to kill the baby, I said. If you had really wanted to find me, you would have come back. But you were too busy building your empire with your lucky charm, Mia. He looked at me, really looked at me, stripping away the years of resentment, seeing the woman he had abandoned. I will fix this, he vowed, his voice shaking. I will make them pay. I will give you the world. I don't want the world, I said, opening the door. I just want to take my daughter and leave. You can't, he said, a dark desperation entering his tone. Because if you leave now, Mia wins. And I think we both know she deserves to lose. I stayed. Not for him, but because Lily had developed a fever that night. The stress and the sudden rich food had made her sick. The doctor Brandon summoned said she was severely anemic and needed rest. For 3 days, I stayed by her bedside in the guest room. Brandon tried to visit, but every time he came near, Lily would hide under the covers. Mia, sensing her grip slipping, went on the offensive. It happened on the fourth afternoon. I was in the kitchen making broth for Lily. A crash echoed from the living room, followed by Joy screaming. I ran in. An antique vase, worth more than my life's earnings, lay shattered on the floor. Joy was pointing at Lily, who had wandered downstairs to find water. She did it. Joy screamed. The beggar girl pushed it over. Mia rushed in, face pale. That vase. Brandon's mother gave him that. It's irreplaceable. She turned to me, eyes flashing with triumph. Hannah, really? I know you're jealous, but to teach your daughter to destroy property. Brandon entered the room, his face like thunder. He looked at the shards, then at Lily. Lily was shaking, tears welling up. I didn't touch it. She pushed me. Liar. Joy shrieked. Daddy, she's lying. Hit her. Hit her like you did in the car. Brandon flinched as if he'd been struck. He looked at Joy, really seeing the malice in the child's face for the first time. Then he looked at Lily, who was bracing herself for a blow. That flinch, that expectation of pain, broke him. Check the cameras, Brandon said quietly.
Mia froze.
What? I installed internal security cameras last month. For security, Brandon said, his voice deadly calm. He pulled out his phone. Brandon, there's no need. Mia lunged for his arm. He shoved her away and tapped the screen. We all watched the footage in silence. On the screen, Lily was walking quietly toward the kitchen. Joy ran up behind her, shoved her hard, then deliberately kicked the vase over and started screaming. Brandon stared at the phone. Then he looked at Mia. You're raising a monster, he said. She's just a child.
Mia sobbed.
She's traumatized. Her father died. My partner died, Brandon said, stepping closer to her. And I took you in. I treated Joy like my own. And you used that kindness to poison her against my own flesh and blood.
Get out, he said.
What?
Mia gasped.
Get out of my house. You and Joy. Go to a hotel. I'll deal with you later. You can't do this. The press thinks we're married. Think of the stock price. Mia threatened, showing her true colors. Let it crash, Brandon snarled.
Get out.
2 weeks later, Mia hadn't given up. She had gone to the press, spinning a story about a homewrecker ex-girlfriend showing up to destroy Brandon's happy family. The paparazzi were camped outside the gates. Brandon's solution was a charity gala. The Rebuilding Pierce Gala. He insisted I attend. I'm not your prop, I told him while he tried to fit a diamond necklace around my neck. No, he said, his hands lingering on my shoulders. You're the truth. Tonight, I clear the air. I wore a dress of midnight blue. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. The tired, yellowed woman was gone, replaced by someone cold and sharp. The gala was glittering. Mia showed up, uninvited, wearing white, playing the victim. She had photographers with her. When Brandon took the stage, the room went silent. 5 years ago, Brandon began into the microphone. I lost everything. Or so I thought. I thought I lost my money. But I actually lost my soul.
He gestured to me.
The spotlight hit me, blindingly bright. This is Hannah, my fiancée. The woman who paid my debts while I played hero to someone else's family. A murmur went through the crowd. Mia stepped forward, tears streaming. Brandon, how can you humiliate me? After all I've done? After all you've done? Brandon clicked a remote. The massive screen behind him changed. It wasn't a slideshow of memories. It was bank statements, emails, surveillance footage of Mia speaking to the loan sharks, telling them exactly where I lived so they could harass me. The crowd gasped. You didn't just hide my letters, Mia, Brandon's voice boomed. You sold my location to my enemies, and you sold her out to the wolves. You used my guilt over your husband's death to live like a queen while my daughter starved. Mia looked around, realizing the game was over. The White Lotus mask shattered. She looked hideous in her panic. He asked me to, she screamed, pointing at Brandon. He loved me. My husband said you owed us. Your husband, Brandon said softly, asked me to ensure you were safe. He didn't ask me to let you destroy my family. He turned to the security. Escort Mrs. Davies out. The police are waiting outside regarding the embezzlement of the funds I sent for Hannah. As she was dragged out, screaming, Brandon jumped off the stage and walked to me. He knelt on one knee in front of everyone. Hannah, I know I can't ask for forgiveness, but let me spend the rest of my life trying to earn it. I looked down at him. The man who abandoned me. The man who slapped my daughter. The man who is now offering me the world. I took the microphone. Get up, Brandon. He stood, hopeful. You can't buy 10 years with a necklace and a PowerPoint presentation, I said, my voice steady. You missed her first steps. Her first words. You missed the nights she cried from hunger. You missed the fear in her eyes when you raised your hand against her. I took off the necklace and placed it in his hand. Lily and I are leaving. We're going to a small house by the coast. I'm going to use the money you're going to wire me, the back pay for 5 years of suffering, to start a business. If you want to be a father, you can visit. On weekends. With supervision. Hannah. He choked out. But I will not marry you.
Not now.
Maybe never. You have to learn to be a man before you can be a husband. I turned and walked away, the crowd parting for me like the Red Sea. The ending wasn't a fairy tale. It was real life. I moved out the next day. Brandon didn't stop me. He bought a modest house for us in a town 2 hours away, close enough to drive, far enough to breathe. He transferred $5 million to my account. I didn't return it. I earned it. Mia went to prison for fraud and embezzlement. Joy was sent to live with her grandparents, far away from the luxury she felt entitled to. Brandon changed. He stepped down as CEO, leaving the daily operations to a board, and moved to an apartment in our town. Every Saturday at 9 a.m., he stood on our porch. The first month, Lily wouldn't come out of her room. Brandon sat on the porch swing for 4 hours, whittling a small wooden horse, then left it there. The second month, Lily watched him from the window. The third month, she opened the door. "Why did you hit me?" she asked. I watched from the kitchen as the powerful Brandon Pierce wept openly in front of a 5-year-old. Because I was blind, Lily. Because I was stupid. And I will cut off my own hand before I ever hurt you again. It took 3 years. 3 years before I let him hold my hand again. 3 years before Lily called him Daddy, without flinching. One afternoon, we were walking on the beach. Lily was 8 now, healthy, her cheeks rosy, running ahead with a kite. Brandon walked beside me. He looked older, tired, but his eyes were clear. "She looks like you," he said. "She has your stubbornness," I replied. He stopped walking. "I'm still waiting, Hannah. You said 10 years. It's been 8 since I left. 3 since I came back." I looked out at the ocean. The anger that had fueled me for so long had faded, leaving behind a quiet scar. It didn't hurt anymore, but it was still there. "I don't need a savior, Brandon," I said softly.
I know, he said.
"I don't want to save you. I just want to walk beside you." I watched Lily laugh as the kite soared high into the blue sky. I thought about the sandpaper hands, the hunger, the cold. And then I thought about the man who had driven 2 hours every weekend for 3 years just to sit on a porch swing. I reached out and took his hand. It was trembling. "Ask me again in 2 years," I said. Brandon squeezed my hand, a tear tracking down his weathered face. "Okay, I'll wait." The sun set over the water, casting long shadows behind us. We weren't the broken family we were in the parking lot that day. We weren't the perfect family in the portrait. We were something in between, healing, scarred, and moving forward, one step at a time.